I'm at 505 Ward Avenue in Bellevue, Kentucky, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. What we're mainly looking for is structural issues, but root intrusion, basically anything that would be concerning to the buyer. Our access is a 4-inch stack. There's two right next to each other. I believe this is probably coming in from a downspout, so it's probably got a trap at the base, but we may open that just to kind of see, but it should tie in like right next to this one. But you can see where we are. That's the front of the house, stationary tub here, and just right here in the back little cubby part of the basement here is our access. So this should be cast iron for a second, but it should go into clay as soon as we get down through the floor. And there it is. As soon as it turns and goes horizontal, it does turn into clay. So this is the normal material for this this age of home. And it does look like what I was talking about. The stack comes in like almost immediately. There looks like there maybe used to be a toilet here also. It's been, filled in with concrete. So this should be a 6-inch clay line going all the way out to the main. I believe the main is in the front. There's an alley in the rear, but pretty safe to say that all the sewer main is in the front. Clay is a good material. It's been around for 100 years, so it doesn't degrade like cast iron does or something like that. The most common thing we see with clay, though, is root intrusion, because they're really short sections of pipe, about 3 feet. In some cases shorter, but they're usually about 3 to 4 feet in length, and so there's just a lot of connections. So a lot of opportunity, years of in the ground, and the packing, and those joints can kind of shrink a little bit and allow tree roots to get in relatively easy. But if there's not any trees nearby, then it should not be an issue. So far, this line is looking really good. It's holding shape well. The flow line you can see on either side of the pipe. Kind of see evidence of about how far the water gets up, and you can see that, it's, maybe a quarter of the way up the side of the pipe, which kind of lets you know, even under heavy usage, showers, laundry, that it doesn't get very high. Little tiny bit of root intrusion right there. Kind of a flat spot right when it turns at the bottom. I believe we're right near the main, so there's a little bit of a ledge there. And with the angle in my camera, there we go. The angle of my camera coming down that hill and making that turn, sometimes the front of the camera is really blunt, so and there is the main up ahead. See, we're going right into the side of it, and so actually I thought that was the main. This looks like there is a trap here. So we are out 75 feet. Got to be out by I think we're out by the street or in the side, at least 75 feet. It's pretty strange to have, Bellevue and Newport, sometimes they do this where they have this is a whole house trap. And so what that is basically the traps and stuff that are underneath your sink and in your toilet. they used to not put it on every fixture, and they would put one trap for the whole house, and it's supposed to basically provide like a vapor or a basically it's supposed to keep the stink out of the house. That water that sits in that trap, and it would be kind of that U shape, similar to what you find underneath the sink or in the built into your toilet. When these were put in, I think they stopped putting them in, stopped becoming code somewhere around the 20s, the 1920s, and so from then on they would just put one of those traps on every fixture, which is how it is today. These they can run fine. If they have caused any problems, a lot of them have been removed over the years, but if they're still functioning, there's obviously no use to dig it up and replace it. Now, a lot of times they do have access on the top of them, and if you look to the, as we pull back, there should be, if we can see far enough, there is a pipe coming in from the top of it, and so there's usually a clean out. The problem is if they're 100 years old like this and they don't have, and they haven't been used or cleaned out, then a lot of times those access, those clean outs and stuff have been covered over, and so we'll go out there and take a look, and then we'll at least try to run some water through there and kind of watch and make sure the level doesn't change on this side of the trap. But without access to the top of this trap, we'd be unable to get past it. Another good thing is that based off the footage, I'm thinking this is out far enough to where it would be right on the border, and anything past this point would be on the municipality, on SD1, the sewer department, to repair if there was any issues. But we won't know that until I go out and I'm going to turn on the transmitter, which will help. It will allow me to find exactly where the camera head is sitting right now, so we can try to find and see if there's an access to this trap, or if at least let us know where we are in terms of private property versus the public. And so again, we're going to pause the video and go get it located. Okay, so good news and bad news, I guess. There is no access to the clean out to this whole house trap, but it is like right at the curb, which is great. It's about maybe 6 inches behind the curb into the yard, into that little easement. So it should be anything past this point would be the responsibility of SD1 to repair if there was any issues. Obviously, we'd like to be able to inspect that last like 10 feet from the curb to the sewer main, but the good news is, again, that if there is any issue out there, there's no responsibility on the homeowner for repair. So what we're going to do is we're going to run some water here in the stationary tub. We can't really run it upstairs just due to the stack being open. And so if we did, obviously it would come out all over the floor. And so we're just going to run water for a minute, let it make its way down to this point, and just make sure that the trap itself is functioning properly. Now, it is something worth noting that with these situations, obviously you do have, you don't want to put anything that could affect or sit in the bottom of that trap. That trap does have a low spot, and so in most cases, toilet paper and stuff like that will go through it, and it shouldn't be an issue. Toilet paper does break down into essentially nothing in the water. It's designed to do that. In case it catches or plugs up a line, it will disintegrate. So it was designed to be that way. Wet wipes, no matter if they say flushable or not, do not break down like that. And so they can build up in these traps along with other pipe materials. If it was cast iron or something like that, you'd have a similar issue. But mainly, you just don't want to, it could go through there perfectly fine, but you don't know after 100 years if there's any slight buildup of debris or anything through the bottom of that trap. Another plus is that this does have the storm going through it. Now, Could add to debris getting in, but also there's usually pretty large amounts of water that come through during a rain that would help flush this trap out. But I did mark it with a green flag and some paint so that if anybody wanted to, they could dig it up and either add a riser to the clean out, or if there's one, I couldn't feel anything down about 6 to 8 inches. I was kind of poking around to see if I could feel the top of it. I didn't feel anything, but it is only about 2'7". So 2'7" to the invert, which is the inside bottom of the pipe. It's where the camera's laying, basically. And so you should be able to hit the top of that clean out, even if it's not visible. You should be able to get to the top of it around 2 foot or so. Somebody could add an access or a clean out at that point. But it does look like the riser pipe is there. It's just probably over the 100 years, this road has probably been added onto, and so you might have to go down a foot or so before you find the top of that clean out. But again, what we do here is we just run a bunch of water, make sure that the water level doesn't change on the trap. Like I mentioned earlier, what they're doing is, I can try to push my camera down through it, but see, it just goes straight. You have to be able to push straight down to that bend to be able to get the camera to actually make that S bend. And then they will go through. They're big enough, but you have to have access from the top to be able to get the camera through these things. And so what we do here is we just test functionality, let the water run for a while, make sure that water level you see in front of you doesn't change, make sure it doesn't start rising really bad, and that just lets you know that the water is escaping through the other side of the trap at the same rate it's going in. That's what you want to see. We'd like to be able to run a little bit, obviously, like to be able to run a couple toilet flushes, stuff like that down in there to watch it, but we don't really have that option right now with the clean out being open. You can see the water level's not changing at all, which is very good. It didn't even rise a little bit when, I don't even think it really rose at all when the water started, hitting. So it's flushing toilet paper down the line, sitting in the trap, but you can see how it's just sitting there. And so you can see how what I was mentioning earlier with wet wipes, that toilet paper there will disintegrate and break down into nothing. And so it'll go through just like the water is going through. Using wet wipes, you're kind of playing with fate there. You don't want the sewer to back up through these floor drains and fill up the basement floor down here, especially when you're storing stuff. So just a word to the wise there, make sure it's just toilet paper. You're gonna, no paper towels or feminine products either. As long as you keep it to that, it's not a big deal. You can use wet wipes, just throw them in the trash. Not down your sewer line. They have made a lot of plumbers a lot of money. So again, you can see there's still stuff flushing through here. But yeah, water level's not changing a bit, so it's a very, very good sign. It's nice and open and flowing freely. So again, anything beyond that point is the responsibility of SD1. So that's also a good thing. But the pipe itself looks great. Structurally, everything looks really, really good. And we'll leave this water running also the way as we pull back just to see if there's any low spots. See, this is where we're coming in. We're going to go vertical here. You can see the angle my camera's sitting at if you look in the bottom left-hand corner. So you can see what kind of pitch is on the line. This is very good pitch. It's almost straight up and down there for a minute. The only thing I saw was one little tail of root intrusion. It was probably right up at the house. There's no big trees or anything. A little bit of landscaping, and I'm sure that the line isn't real deep because it's sitting up so high. But you could monitor this. Maybe you go back in 5-6 years. Run another camera through this to try to see if those roots have grown at all, but really, I mean, that little bit of stuff that's hanging, in fact, I thought I was back to it, but I haven't seen it at all yet. Maybe it's something else. We haven't seen it at all on the way back. So maybe it was something that got knocked loose. It could have been something hanging from a spider web or something. I thought that was right in here. Maybe I'll push back out and see if I can find it again. Because it was hanging down just barely into the flow line. Here's where that line's coming in, so we're already back here by the cleanout. So, yeah, I didn't see anything on the way back, so we'll turn the water off here. Since we've made it both ways, and I'll push out. And we'll go back out and we'll see if we can find that spot again, but that's really good news. It might have just been something that was hanging there that looked like roots, but could have been whatever it was that kind of knocked it loose. Is that it right there? No. Yeah. Huh. See something coming in there. That would be an outside, like a downspout or something there coming in on the left. Yeah, I don't see anything here. Huh. So whatever it was, I must have knocked it loose with my camera off the top of the pipe because it's no longer there, so that's great. It's going to be nothing really to report. Oh, there it is right there, right at the bottom of this turn. So there it was. What is that, at about 60 feet? It's just a very, very tiny amount. It's not obstructing flow at all, and it would take years for that to, even if it was continuously growing now, I don't know what even that would be from. There's no trees in the general area of where the line is, and so it could be some of the landscaping, small landscaping that's on the little tiered wall going up, but it's a very, very small amount. It's not an issue, and so maybe if you are concerned about it in a few years, maybe have another scope and see if it's grown anymore. The only thing you could really do about that, because it's so small, is put a chemical down there, but it's a very small chance that he would be attached to that root and do anything with it. So again, my recommendation on that would just be if you have a question in 5 or 6 years, you could always run a camera back through and see if it's grown at all. But right now it's not obstructing flow. It's very, very small, minor amount of roots, so not an issue at all. Other than that, the line will look about as good as it could for 100-year-old clay line. It was really, really good. Okay, here we are back out at the clean out. And so, again, everything looked great structurally. Didn't see anything. The only thing of even note is that about 60 feet, there was a little tiny string of roots. Very, very, very minor. Not obstructing flow at all. Not and shouldn't cause any issues for quite a while. It'll take quite a while for that to grow into anything more if it does. But other than that, we made it out 75 feet, and there is a a whole house trap, I'm sorry, at 75 feet, which is right at the curb line. It is marked with green paint and a flag for reference, or if you want to try to dig it up or see if there's access in that area. But the overall line looked wonderful. It looked great structurally, and all the joints looked really good. So, one little piece of roots that if you think about it in 5 or 6 years, you might want to have the line rescoped. And if you want to dig up that clean out, that whole house trap, clean out for the whole house trap, that would be something that you could probably do in the future. But again, the line looked great. So that'll end the inspection at 505 Ward Avenue in Bellevue, Kentucky.